Good day, everyone. I am Erica Blanche Gokong, together with my members Jesse Roma, Mary Sherlyn Brigoli, Angel Baring, and Danielle De La Serna. Today, we will be presenting International Human Resource Management and its subtopics Managing the Global Workforce, Cross-Cultural Challenges in HRM, and Expatriate Management. First, what is IHRM or International Human Resource Management? Well, it refers to the management of human resources in multinational and global organizations. It encompasses a wide range of activities from recruitment to performance management, all while considering diverse cultural, legal, and operational factors. The importance of IHRM has grown significantly due to the increasing globalization and business, making it crucial for organizations to effectively manage talent across borders to achieve success. IHRM, or International Human Resource Management, has the objectives to first, develop global managerial skills and cultural adaptability, handle global business operations and cross-border talent management, ensure fair compensation, career growth, and employee satisfaction internationally, and foster cultural harmony and reduce cross-cultural conflicts. Now let's talk now let's talk about the key features of IHRM. There are a few that distinguish it from traditional domestic HR management. First, the global perspective. IHRM requires a global mindset, as it involves managing employees across different countries and cultures. From the word itself, international human resource management. So, it's global, it's international. Second, complexity. Unlike domestic HRM, IHRM faces the complexity of adhering to multiple legal systems, cultural norms, and business environment. Third is strategic role. IHRM doesn't just manage people. It aligns HR strategies with the company's global objectives, ensuring that human resources contribute to business success on a global scale. Again, because it is international, it is global. So it doesn't focus only on local. Now let's now let's look at some key differences between domestic IHRM and international IHRM. First, the scope. Domestic HRM focuses on local operations within one country, while IHRM extends to multiple countries. Next, cultural considerations. Domestic HRM typically only deals with one culture, while IHRM involves managing a diverse workforce, inquiring and understanding of various cultural backgrounds. Then HR practices. In domestic HRM, practices tend to be standardized, while in IHRM, they are adapted to fit local cultural and legal context. Finally, the legal considerations. Domestic HRM works within one legal framework, while IHRM must navigate multiple sets of labor laws across different countries. In IHRM, there are three main types of employees. First, the expatriates, or mostly called as expats. These are employees who are sent by the organization to work in a foreign country, usually for a set period. Next, local nationals. These employees are from the host country and are hired to work in the organization's operations there. Third is the third country nationals, or the TCNs. These are the employees who come from neither the home nor the host country but work for the organization in a foreign location. Let's now look at the main functions of IHRM. Since these functions has already been discussed by the previous reporters, I will dig deeper to it. First, we have the recruitment and staffing. We all know that this involves sourcing and selecting talent, but in IHRM, this involves sourcing and selecting talent from both local and international labor markets. Companies must decide whether to hire local expatriates depending on the situations. Next, we have the training and development. Employees, especially expatriates, need cultural training, language lessons, and other skills to perform effectively in international roles. Because again, IHRM means International Human Resource Management. So, dili lang siya nag-focus sa local or in one country. Next, performance management. In IHRM, it is essential to balance global performance standards with respect for local work practices and expectations. Next is compensation and benefits. This includes designing compensation packages that account for different cost of living standards, tax regulations, and benefits across countries. Lastly, we have labor relations. IHRM also involves managing employee relations and adhering to labor laws and union regulations in different regions. That is all for my part. Now let us have Mr. Jesse Roma for the challenges in IHRM.
What's up everyone, I'm Jesse Roma and today I'm going to tackle about challenges in IHRM or International Human Resource Management. So, challenges in IHRM. First, we have cultural differences, legal and regulatory compliance, global mobility, communication barriers. So, let's tackle first the cultural differences. Cultural differences, understanding different cultural norms, communication styles, and work ethics. Cultural differences. Different countries have unique cultural norms, traditions, and work practices. For example, some cultures prioritize individual achievements while others value teamwork, misunderstanding, and these differences can lead to conflicts, miscommunication, or reduce employee morale. So, what must HR do? So, HR must understand and respect these cultural dynamics to manage a global workforce effectively. So, I have here an example. In Japan, workplace hierarchy is highly valued, and employees prioritize showing respect to their superiors. If an American manager adopts an informal style that doesn't clearly establish authority, the Japanese team might struggle to understand the direction. So, ang pasabot ato is sa Japan, hierarchy nila ang ginavalued ang workplace, labi na sa mga employees. So, for example, ang American daw, if ginadala niya ang iyang kinaiya, like nasa mga informal styles, so mauto kung ang Japanese, labi na sa mga Japanese employees, magka-struggle yun. So muna siya ang cultural differences, challenges in IHRM. Moving on, legal and regulatory compliance. So adhering to varying labor laws and regulations in different countries. Every country has its own labor laws and employment regulations, such as wage laws, work hours, and benefits. IHRM professionals must ensure compliance with these diverse rules, which can be challenging, especially when managing employees across multiple locations. Here an example. In Europe, employees have no longer maternity leave benefits compared to other countries. So if a multinational company does not comply with this, they could face penalties or legal issues in their operations. So next, global mobility. Ensuring smooth transitions for expatriates and managing the complexities of relocating employees. Global mobility. So this refers to managing the relocation of employees to different countries, whether temporarily or permanently. Challenges includes securing visas, managing relocation expenses, ensuring employee well-being, and helping expatriates adjust to new environments. So, example, an engineer from the Philippines is assigned to Dubai. The HR department needs to prepare their visa, arrange relocation details such as housing, transportation, everyday transportation of the engineer that assigned from Dubai, because he is newly in there. So, bago siya dito. So, and provide orientation about culture and practices in Dubai to avoid culture shock. Mao to siya kung giingon. HR must guide the newly assigned engineer from the Philippines para siyempre ang Dubai lahi sa og mga culture para di sa to avoid culture shock. So, last, communication barriers. So, overcoming language differences and promoting effective communication. So, from the word communication, need to proper communicate. So, language differences and varying communication styles can make it difficult for team members to collaborate and share ideas effectively. Misinterpretations due to language barriers or cultural misunderstandings can hinder productivity and teamwork in international organizations. For example, an Indian team presents their report using Indian English, but their British colleagues struggle to understand some of the idioms of pronunciation. As the result, the project might be delayed because of the additional discussions are needed to ensure everyone is on the same page. So, siyempre, ang Indian team member is report using this Indian English, di ba? Kaya bago kita sa Indian English, like, di kayo na ito masabtan, di ba? So, as a result, anak mo, ang project might delayed, kay mo focus pa sila atong unang need pa nila sabton maayo. Unsagi ang ipasabot sa Indian kuan. So mo na siyang challenges sa part challenges of IHRM communication barriers. So naagit sila language, mga different pronunciations. So mo na sila ang challenges in IHRM, cultural differences, legal and regulatory compliance, global mobility, and communication barriers. So next, we have the strategies for effective international human resource management. First, we have cultural sensitivity. Then, flexible HR policies, technology utilization, and talent management. So, cultural sensitivity. Developing cultural awareness programs to understand and respect local practices. So, organizations must embrace diversity by offering cultural awareness programs. This ensures employees understand local customs, traditions, and workplace norms, fostering collaboration and minimizing misunderstandings. Next, flexible HR policies. Adapting policies to fit the legal and cultural requirements of each country. So, HR policies should align with the local laws and cultural expectations of each country. This means adapting benefits, working hours, or leave policies to meet regional standards while maintaining organizational goals. Example, in the Middle East, companies provide shorter working hours during Ramadan to respect the fasting of their Muslim employees. So I have here an example also that can relate to the NATO dari Philippines. So a multinational company operating in the Philippines offers holiday leave benefits or implements flexible working schedules for Christmas. They may also provide special incentives or bonuses such as 13-month pay aligned with local practices and motivate the employees. So, mao na siya. Moving on to technology utilization. Leveraging HR software and tools to manage global teams efficiently. So it means using advanced HR tools and systems enable seamless management of global teams. Tools for virtual communication, performance tracking, and compliance help streamline processes and ensure efficiency. So moving on to talent management. Implementing strategies to attract, develop, and retain global talent. To the right side, the role of IHRM in global business strategy. So first we have aligning HR with corporate strategy. So aligning HR with corporate strategy, ensuring HR initiatives support local businesses objectives. So it means IHRM plays a critical role in ensuring the HR initiatives directly support the company's global business goals. So next, moving on, fostering innovation and collaboration, promoting diversity and inclusion, and leveraging cross-cultural knowledge for innovation. So it means innovation and collaboration, they collab each other, different regions, at the same place to what you call this, a brainstorming to have a effective innovation. So lastly, talent development and leadership, developing global leaders who can manage international teams and complex global operations. So talent development and leadership, developing a global leaders is a key focus of IHRM. These leaders should have the skills to manage international teams, adapt to different cultures, and handle complex global operations. So mao to siya ang the role of IHRM in global business strategy, which is aligning HR corporate strategy, fostering innovation and collaboration, and talent development and leadership. So, moving on to the activities and cultural dimensions of international human resource management key activities. First on the list, procurement, recruiting global talent. Procurement focuses on recruiting and selecting global talent. So, in the other words, recruitment. It ensures the right individuals are hired for international roles, considering cross-cultural competence. So next, allocation. Assigning roles across locations. Allocation involves assigning roles and responsibilities across multiple locations. It also assigns employees capabilities with the strategic needs of global operations. So, from the word allocation, it means assigning different employees in different locations. So, next, utilization. Maximizing employee efficiency. So, utilization aims at maximizing employee efficiency and productivity. They maximize the efficient of how efficient is an employee or how unsa siya ka-productive sa work. So it includes performance, management, and employee development tailored to a global workforce. So last, cultural dimensions. Based on Hofstede's model, dimensions include power distance, individualism versus collectivism, uncertainty, avoidance, and cultural fit. So that are the activities and cultural dimensions of international human resource management key activities. Let's proceed to the approaches of international human resource management. First, we have ethnocentric approach, then polycentric, geocentric, and regiocentric. So, ethnocentric, prioritizing home country employees. Let's move on to polycentric, employing host country nationals. So, in this approach, host country nationals are hired to manage operations within their own country. It emphasizes the value of local expertise and cultural understanding. Let's move on to geocentric approach, selecting the best talent globally regardless of origin. So this approach focuses on hiring the best talent globally regardless of their nationality. If unsa man ka, different nationality mo, it aims to create a diverse and unified workforce that aligns with the company's global objectives. Employees are chosen based on their skills and expertise rather than their origin. So take note, employees are chosen based on their skills, dili sa ilang origin or nationality. There is a geocentric approach. Then, last, we have regiocentric, managing employees within specific regions. Gina-manage ang mga employees niya sa dirira nga region, sa specific nga lugar. Dili sila manghuwa og lain. So this strategy organizes and manages human resource with specific geographic regions such as Asia or Europe. If Asia ka, Asia rin ka. If Europe, Europe present. That are the approaches of international human resource management. So the last topic that I'm going to discuss is the future trends of IHRM. So these are technological advancements, remote work, and sustainability and corporate social responsibility, or CSR. So first, technological advancements. The role of artificial intelligence, HR analytics, and automation in global HR functions. So the integration of artificial intelligence or AI, HR analytics, and automation is revolutionizing global HR practices. So next, remote work. The rise of remote and hybrid work and its impact on global teams. And hybrid work models has transformed how global teams collaborate. Flexible arrangement enable organizations to tap into a broader talent pool across different countries. This trend demands better virtual collaboration tools, clear communication protocols, and focused on a work-life balance. So, there is a remote work, the priority a work-life balance. So, lastly, sustainability and corporate social responsibility or CSR. The increasing focus on sustainability practices in global HR management. So organizations are increasingly embedding sustainability and CSR practices into HR strategies. This involves promoting green workplaces, ethical labor practices, and social equity. HR teams play a critical role in aligning policies with global environmental goals, such as reducing carbon footprints or supporting community projects. So, there is a sustainability and corporate social responsibility. Prioritize nila ang atong environment. Siyempre, no, para sa atong social responsibility, sustainability. So that are the future trends in IHRM or International Human Resource Management. So that ends with my discussion, and I hope you gain knowledge a lot, and thank you.
Managing global workforce examines important human resources management issues and practices in today's global marketplace, helping current and future managers and leaders, regardless of nationality, in making effective human talent management decisions for optimal organization performance and to ensure that the right personnel are in the right position. Here are some tips for managing a global workforce. First is embrace cultural differences. Means recognizing and respecting the unique ways people from different cultures communicate and interact. Providing cultural sensitivity training helps employees to understand variation in communication styles, body language, and humor. Reducing misunderstanding and promoting inclusivity. For example, in some Middle Eastern cultures, maintaining steady eye contact shows confidence, while in some Asia cultures it may be seen as disrespectful. Training helps employees navigate such differences effectively. Next is the foster effective communication. Means using tools and clear rules to ensure everyone can share information easily, even if they speak different languages or come from different cultures. For example, a global marketing team can use tools like Google Translate and share platforms like Trello to create detailed projects updates in multiple languages. Clear protocols such as weekly status reports in a standard format ensure everyone understands the project's progress and next step. Promote collaboration and teamwork. Means creating an environment where employees from different locations or departments can work together, share ideas, and solve problems effectively. This fosters innovation, builds trust, and ensures diverse perspectives are considered. Tools like shared workspace or regular brainstorming session can help achieve this. For example, a global software company encourages its developers from different countries to collaborate on a new app feature by using a shared platform like Google Workspace for document sharing and organizing virtual brainstorming sessions. Team members can exchange ideas and solve challenges together. This leads to a better product that reflects diverse users' needs. Next is provide opportunities for growth. Giving employees access to training, workshop, or mentorship programs to develop their skills and advance their careers. This not only boosts employee satisfaction but also strengthens the organization's overall performance. For example, a retail company offers online leadership training program for its store managers. By completing these courses, managers gain new skills to handle larger teams and operations. This motivates them to perform better and prepares them for promoting within the companies. Comply with labor laws. Complying with labor laws means following the employment regulation of each country where your business operates. These laws cover areas like working hours, wages, benefits, and employer rights. Adhering to these laws avoid legal issues and ensures fair treatment of employees. For example, a multinational company hires remote workers in Europe to comply with EU labor laws. The company ensures employees receive the minimum number of vacation days required and provides appropriate health benefits. This not only avoids legal penalties but also builds trust with employees. Next is be aware of nonverbal etiquette. Being aware of nonverbal etiquette means understanding the gestures, facial expression, and the body language can have different meaning in different cultures. Respecting these differences helps prevent misunderstanding and fosters positive interaction. Example, a sales manager from the US attends a meeting in Japan knowing that bowing is a sign of respect in Japan. They greet their Japanese colleagues with a slight bow instead of a handshake. This understanding of nonverbal etiquette helps build and respect during the business meeting. The last one is support English as a second language. Supporting English as a second language means offering resources like language training or translation tools to help non-native speakers improve their communication skills. This ensures all employees can participate fully and feel valued in the workplace. Example, a tech company with employees in multiple countries provides free online English courses for team members who want to improve their language skills. They also use translation tools during meetings to ensure everyone understands key points. This support helps employees collaborate more effectively and boost their confidence. Some challenges of managing a global workforce include cultural differences. Cultural differences affect how people work and interact. Understanding specific practices like communication styles or meeting etiquette avoids misunderstandings. For example, a manager in Japan avoids direct criticism in meeting, respecting the Japanese preference for indirect feedback, which helps maintain harmony and trust. Next is the linguistic diversity. Linguistic diversity refers to the presence of multiple languages in the workplace. Supporting employees with tools like translation software or language training ensure clear communication and inclusivity. Example, a global company with offices in France and India uses a real-time translation software during virtual meeting, ensuring employees can understand and contribute regardless of their native language. Time zone differences. Time zone differences can create challenges in scheduling and communication for global teams. Using tools like shared calendars and setting flexible work hours helps ensure everyone stay aligned. Example, a US-based project manager schedules a meeting with a team in Australia and Europe. By using a shared calendar and choosing a time that overlaps work hours for all regions, they ensure everyone can attend without inconvenience. Next is high training cost. High training costs refer to the significant expense of providing employee development program, include materials, trainers, and time. To manage this, companies can use cost-effective options like online courses or internal training. Example, a startup reduces training costs by using free online platform like Coursera and having experienced employees mentor new hires instead of hiring external trainers. The last one is deficient technological infrastructure, refers to outdated or insufficient technology that hinders business operations such as low internet, old software, or lack of equipment. Addressing this is crucial for efficiency and competitiveness. Example: a small business struggles with slow internet during virtual meeting. They upgrade to a high-speed internet plan and invest in modern conferencing tools, improving communication and productivity.
Hey everyone, my topic for today is all about the cross-cultural challenges in HRM. So, what is cross-cultural challenges in HRMDI? Alright, basahin natin na sa slides ha. Okay, um, so cross-cultural challenges in HRM refers to the difficulties organizations face when managing a diverse workforce across different cultural backgrounds. So okay, let's start with it briefly, alright? So it presents managing a diverse workforce across different cultural backgrounds presents significant challenges, particularly in fostering effective communication. Muna itong topic karon, communication, collaboration against sa kanang mga employees within the company. Yes, and understanding among employees. Yes, understanding among employees from varying cultural norms and practices. Okay, so here are some key challenges. First is kanang the communication barriers. So communication barriers kay naadri ang differences in language. Yes, difference in language, nonverbal cues, and communication styles can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts. So alright, let's talk about the arita sa different in language. So for example, in a company that have employees from diverse linguistic backgrounds, interact such like waray. So ato lang ibutangan diri sa atong lugar, I mean bansa. Yes, ato lang for example sa waray, kanang company ba yan nadira nagtrabaho ng lalayong mga linguistic backgrounds, waray, Ilonggo, Bisaya, Tagalog. No. So with that, misunderstandings kay common anak na kuan ang lahi kag kuan sa language. So it will lead to ineffective communication. Dira na challenge na nira. So those language differences create confusion. For example, sa kining confusion niya is for example waray nangutana ka abot unsa na gibuhat anyo nga kuan kanang for example sa department nangutana or naay na something kuwang na yang katong waray kay imbes I mean mani ay lagi kato siya kay kanang iyang pangutana kay ay kanang sibi nalain na siya ba kay ana iyang kuan to no kay sweet kaayo mo to gikatawan nimo serious na lito ko niya kitaw ani mo so the language is challenging. Yes, confusion, yes, in their collaboration and affect employee morale as individually ways struggle to express themselves clearly to understand their colleagues and tensions. No, muna yung pasabot. So let's proceed to nonverbal cues. Sa ano gyapon ni ha? Communication barriers gyapon ni sa nonverbal cues. So this communication barrier can vary significantly across cultures. So nonverbal communication such as gestures, yes, facial expressions, eye contact, and body language may have different meanings in different culture contexts. So for example, okay. Well, direct example ni siya. Okay. While direct eye contact may be considered, for example, gatapik mo dira gatapik ay to ayon nyo ang yung mga subordinate sa company within company. So ang kanang with eye to eye contact ana sibi dalahi man ka kay ang pasabot nimo ana sa inyong culture nga company, I mean sa inyong culture kay confidence and respect na so nya sa mo ani sa confident and respect no sa iyang culture. Yeah, also, it may be viewed as rude or confrontational sa lain na culture pod. For example, sa Asian cultures. Mo siya nakalahian. Rude ang pagka ng face to face niya sa eye contact niya, eye to eye. Rude dira sa western, then sa Asian kay kanang respeto na siya ana. Inan na siya nakalahian sa miscommunication mo. So misinterpret na noon siya no. Motong gingon misinterpretations of such cues can lead to misunderstanding, discomfort, or even conflict in the or even sorry or even conflict in the workplace. So ang buhaton sa HR professionals ani ka they must be aware, yes, they must be aware of these cultural differences to foster effective communication and create an inclusive environment that minimizes the risk of miscommunication. No? Guy, let's proceed to number two, which is the cultural norms and values. So let's read it. Okay. So cultural norms and values, Kai, it is the variations in work ethics, attitudes towards hierarchy, and individualism versus collectivism can offer team dynamics and motivation. Can affect team dynamics and motivation. So, ang kinideng cultural norms and values guide this can influence team cohesion rather than personal achievement. I mean, this can influence team cohesion as individuals may prioritize team success o mo na ang gi-prioritize silang team success over personal achievement. So, ari focus ang cultural norms and values. Yeah, um, however, this showing difference hierarchy in some companies' culture, with employees showing difference to authority and seniority. So this could create challenges in communication or lower ranking team members may hesitate to voice differing opinions or offer feedback. So I have ano ko example niya. So ang example ani niya kay in a team meeting, an employee might not openly challenge a superior's idea. So even if they have a better solution due to cultural respect for authority, balancing these cultural values with modern work expectations such as fostering open communication and encouraging independent thinking can be a challenge for organizations. So iyang main point of view gud niya kay imbes for example gamitin mo no. Yeah, ang katong mga mga super mga dako-dako nga kanang sa meeting mga lead or manager such like that kay nagkuan. Yeah, naa dito sa daplin di ka na pa great idea ba pero wala na lagi tingog. Kay sa culture na sa kuno kay show respect and authority. Mo na sa ilang mo na sa ilang culture. Dili na lang nila ikuan kay si binitahod sila kanang first nga suggestion ba. Yes, that's it. Then let's proceed to number three, which is the diversity and inclusion. No, sa diversity and inclusion. So diversity and inclusion ensuring that diverse employees feel valued and included can be challenging, especially in cultures that prioritize conformity. So with this no kanang where there is a strong emphasis on maintaining social harmony. Yes, strong emphasis on maintaining social harmony and adhering to collective norms. In such environments, individuals from diverse backgrounds, whether based on ethnicity, ethnicity, gender, or other factors, may feel pressure to suppress their unique identities to align with the dominant culture. So, example, I mean, a dominant culture where employees are reluctant to express differing opinions or behaviors of parehon rasya sa katuwa kung kuan ganiya katong culture norms and values mo to parehon rasya kuan where employees so proceed to sa continue sa diversity and inclusion. So we're facing there might be where employees sa diversity and inclusion kay where employees where employees are reluctant to express differing opinions, yes, same ato, or behavior, fearing they might be seen as disruptive or out of place. Ang nakalahian ani kay imbis na sila opinion, ipagawas nila, hadlok sila ipagawas kay basin ba ipagawas nila kay dili i-disregard ang ilang mga opinions mo na siya. Yung maka-feeling sila out of place, like that. So, mo na siya. Basta diversity and inclusion kay mo to ang example. Okay, let's proceed to number 4, which is the legal and ethical inclusion. Okay, so legal and ethical inclusion kay ang different countries have varying laws regarding employment practices, discrimination, and labor rights, complicating and compliance. So for example, ano niya no kay well, some countries may be While some countries maybe have robust anti-discrimination laws ensuring equal treatment regardless of gender, race, or disability. So, 'di ba, sa kana nga country kay nagkuan sila og equal treatment regardless of gender, race, or disability and ana. Yes, sa lain pong country sa ilang culture kay may have more linear policies or even legal practice that permit sila discrimination. So, mao po na ilang culture. Man to ang i-compare ang naubang nga country kay nakuan og equality tong sa gender na pula ang country nibabag ana kuan nga gi-permit nila ang mga discrimination sa isa ka workplace no. Example ani nga ay kanang for example workplace kanang bully uso ang bully diri ana siya. So those paniniwala nila kay kanang creates difficulties in establishing a uniform corporate culture of inclusion and fairness. Okay, let's proceed to number 5, which is the recruitment and selection. So actually, recruitment and selection kay balik-balik na nila natog kuan ang topic. So since balik-balik ato na lang siya kuan og gamay. So right, so recruitment and selection kay cultural biases can influence hiring practices leading to underrepresentation or misinterpretation of candidates. So pasabot ani? Sabot ani niya kay for example na ko ani kay for example, a hiring manager from a western culture, example of western culture kay might view a candidates nag-hire sila nag-hiring sila candidates nga might view a quiet demeanor from an Asian background as lack of confidence. So ang ilang paniniwala dito sa mga kanang Asian background kay mga lack of confidence, while in their culture kay sa lain pong culture kay ang kanang mga kuan kay in their culture it might affect respect of or thoughtfulness. Pananaw man nila ang nga kanang mga pananaw man nila ana nga mga trabahan mga kuan kanang gipanghire nila kay mga low confidence, for example kanang demeanor from an Asian background. So lack of confidence, it might affect sad ana nga kanang kuan kay it might reflect respect or thoughtfulness. So another example ani kay for example an interviewer or the HR may interpret a candidate's silence during a tough question as a lack of expertise. Oh, ang for example, nasa HR ko no kay kanang, 'di ba? Kuan sila. For example, ga-hire na sila, nag-question na sila sa lang ipang-hire dira. Ana, ya kana daw for example, kanang candidate silence ba? Ang candidates nga nahilom kadiyot during a tough question kay ilang paniniwala na kay lack of expertise daw. So kanang not realizing that in that candidate's culture, ilang culture sa nga kanang candidates kay posing to reflect deeply before answering is seen as a sign of respect and thoughtfulness. So lahi jud ang culture. So these biases not only hinder diversity but also miss out in the full potential that a multicultural workforce can offer. Na misinterpret, siya. Okay, let's proceed to number 6, which is the training and development. So, training and development is a designing training programs that resonate with diverse cultural backgrounds can be complex as learning styles may differ. Laylay ang learning style niya. Ano yung akong challenges kay laylay man nakalalayang culture. For example, I might give you an example about this. So, example ko, multinational ka na may conducting a virtual training session. So, virtual session where ang participants niya kay lahi mga culture. Ang isa ka culture kay ga-focus sa hierarchical structure while ang the other participants kay ga-focus sa kana jung emphasis community based learning ara siya gakuan. So ang may di ba laila sila culture tapos isa ra ka content ang dapat nila ma-come up. So ang mahitabuan ni niya kay ang trainer kay maglibog na are all the trainer might struggle to balance these differing expectations. So lahi sila culture struggle po siya kanang balance lagi expectation dapat. So kay ang hierarchical kay ganang siya mas formal nga nay mo na formal ya nay mo lead nga instructor lead instructor approach na mo tudlo ba. Then ang katong usa katong based on community learning kay focus focus and the community focused participants might feel alienated by content that lacks collaboration or shared experiences. Ano siya? Motto, with those tensions highlight the complexities of designing training programs that not only convey information effectively but also honor and adapt to varying learning preferences and cultural norms. Lahi gani sila norms, lahi po sila maagi, pero isa ra ka content. Una ang naka-challenge na sa training and development sa cross-cultural challenges now. Okay, let's proceed to number 7, which is the performance management. Okay, so performance management kay is a setting performance metrics and evaluation processes that are culturally appropriate can be difficult as expectations may vary across cultures no. Motto performance management. So for example ato sa performance management kay example sa performance management kay so for example a global tech company trying example na siya a global tech company trying to implement a performance management system so where employees from vastly different cultures work together. Nag-conduct sila ganang management system pero ang mga employees kay lahi culture lahi mga nga ang mga employees nga nagtrabaho ara na company kay lahi culture. So in one department for example sa in one department kay lahi nga culture. For example Japanese lahi mga paniniwala sa Japanese kaysa the other. So in one department a Japanese team member values harmony o givalue nilang harmony sa Japanese and collective achievement then so they shy away from self-promotion believing individual accolades disrupt group cohesion. So di ba pasabot sila kang team member harmony and collective so ilang pasabot na kay more on kuan sila groupings ana mga team achievements ilang gi-focus ana. So meanwhile for example Japanese man to ang example ganiha mag-example sa kog American. So basta American kay employee in the same team is usa ra sila ka team ha pero lahi sila kuan kay this employee in the same team is accustomed to openly discussing their individual contributions and this is for so ang kalahian ani nila kay for example ang katong giingon nako ninyo kay ang Japanese kay ga value siya sa harmony, so meaning harmony meaning ga value siya sa grouping sana team achievements. Yeah, while ang katong American nga ka group ra pud ka team ra pud nila sa ka department kay iyang gi-value kay ang individualism, so more on personal achievement iyang gikuan, so dira na makita ang challenge ana niya nga kuan. So this cultural disconnect leads to frustration. Lahi man sila culture, no, so ma-frustrate na lang isang-isa. So misaligned expectations and the potential for decreased morale. So highlighting the difficulties of creating a universal performance management system that respects diverse cultural values. So wala jud sila makuan kay lain man sila kuan. Lain sila paniwala, ang isa kay more on personal, ang isa more on team. So muna yung kaimtang. So let's proceed to number 8, which is the conflict resolution. So ang conflict resolution kay different approaches to conflict can lead to escalated tensions if not managed with cultural sensitivity. Diba? Since tanang culture kay laylay pamaagi. So example ani niya. Multinational company kay conduct og meeting with di isa kana na meeting kay na ay mga nang-attend nga laylay kana culture nga team. So from gikan Japan ba, Brazil ba, or Germany. So during the discussion, pag-discuss pa lang, ang German team member kay kanang directly ni criticize na dayon siya sa proposal. Unya using blunt language and logic to assess their point. During discussion na siya man ang German kuan. Yeah, so meanwhile the Japanese team members kay since kanang known naman sa ila ang kanang value sila harmony ana. So ang katong Japanese kay naghilom-hilom na lang to avoid remain silent, to avoid direct confrontation. Moto due to their cultural ingon value of maintaining harmony, moto nihilom na lang ang Japanese. So while ang gibuhat sa taga Brazil kay ang gibuhat sa taga Brazil team members kay passionate and expressive ang ilang culture. So nukuan sila mo to na-interpret the silence of, so ilang interpret ang silence as passive aggressive behavior and react defensively. Diba ang ni silence kay ang Japanese, I mean ang Japan team member. So ang na misinterpret niya kay since lahi man ang ilang paniniwa, ilang culture, so ang katong na-interpret niya ang silence as passive and aggressive behavior and react defensively. So moto ang tensions kay tensions arise as these groups misinterprets the other's responses. Moto na misinterpret. So with the German na feeling siya frustrated by the lack of direct engagement niya, ang Japanese kay nakasense siya threat, di ba, kay naka-feel man to aggressive ang Brazilians, so na-feel siya threat ang Japanese sa valued group harmony, I mean kato niya, while ang Brazilians kay perceiving and attack on their ideas. Mo to sige yaw-yaw, sige while ga-discuss ang kuan dara boss pa na dara, mo to sige sige suggestions, sige yaw-yaw, criticize about something, mo to ang ilang culture ana. So without cultural sensitivity and understanding of different conflict resolution styles, where Germans prefer direct confrontation, Japanese value subtlety, and Brazilians are more emotionally expressive and hostility, showing how diverse approaches can unintentionally accelerate tensions. Let's proceed to number 9, which is the adaptation and change management. Adaptation and change management. So adaptation and change management kay introducing new policies. or changes can be met with resistance if not aligned with cultural values and practices. So example ano niya? I mean, ang pasabot ano niya kay it is the resistance to change. Ilahi ang ilang pamamaagi sa isa company that can occur when employees perceive the changes as incompatible with their established ways. So adaptation ay pasabot ani for example sa isa ka company kay kanang mga employees kay butang talag baguhan. Ya ang kadaghanan sa baguhan kay kanang mga lalay culture. So na sila capability or for example incompatible na sila sa ilang buhaton. So na sila kanang rights nga uh, na sila rights nga usbon mo adapt na lang sila sa lain nga kanang pamamalakad i-adapt na lang nila adaptation ba i-change lang management unsay kung unsa toy pamaagi sa una nga wala sila kaayon ang mga employees kay pwede siya i-change para i-change into a compatible way sa mga employees such like for example lahi nga culture lahi nga beliefs or social norms na siya for example ani niya no ang sa isa company kay ga-implement sila flexible work from home policy moto yeah na to isa ka member might face resistance in countries might face resistance in countries where the culture values face-to-face interactions. So, di ba, nag-work from home itong policy, yan na ay isa ka employee dira nga kanang ilang culture dito kay kanang face-to-face. So, ano to? An employees may view remote work is a lack of commitment or professionalism. Ang pananaw niya to, di ba ang pananaw niya sa company nga kanang nakandak o kanang work from home, di ba work from home ang nakandak ang company, iyang gikan nga company sa una kay katong face to face. So ang iyan ng ang iyan ng nahunaan nga company kay kanang walay professionalism, wala lack of commitment mo na siya. Mo ni pananaw. Right. So to overcome such challenges, the HR managers must engage in culturally sensitive change management practices or gi-change na. Buhaton sa HR kay gi-change na nila ilang policy, ensuring that policies are adapted to local cultural context and employees are given clear communication and support during the transition. Ito giusab na nila. Imbes katong ganiha imbes work from home kind of face to face na sila so giusab na sa HR. So this could involve flat programs or tailored training to align new practices with cultural values. Gi-adapt nila mga values sa una so mo to. Okay, let's proceed to number 3, the global mobility. Number 10, the global mobility. So global mobility kay managing expatriates and ensuring successful transitions can be challenging due to cultural shock and adjustment issues. So, ang pasabot ani niya sa global mobility kay when employees are relocated to a foreign country for work, they often face difficulties in adapting to new cultural norms. So, unsay kaalahian sa global mobility kasi sa adaptation and change management? Mailhan na later on. So, adapting cultural norms, communication styles, and workplace expectations. So, for example, an American manager moved in Japan might struggle with the indirect communication style and the importance of hierarchy in the Japanese workplace. So, which can lead to misunderstandings and frustration. Yeah, so this cultural shock can hinder the expatriate's effectiveness, causing stress, disengagement, or even failure to complete their assignment. So, adjust na this sila adjust kay nalahi na ang culture. Since nalahi man siya for example. So, ang buhaton sa HR HR professionals ani to solve the issue kay they must therefore provide strong support systems such as cultural training, uh, mentoring and I mean mentoring and language courses to help expatriates adjust successfully and thrive the new environment. So with these resources, the transitions can become a barrier to both personal and organizational success.
Good day, everyone. I'm Daniel Lucerna, and I'm your next reporter, and I'm going to report expert traits. So first, let's define what are the expert traits, or who are the expert traits. So expert traits are individuals who relocate abroad for work-related goals, which makes them different from tourists, students, or migrants. Unlike migrants, expert traits usually don't plan for a permanent relocation. Instead, their focus is on completing a specific assignment and adapting quickly to local conditions to avoid any disruptions. So, like, there are two main types of expert traits. Corporate expert traits, those are sent by their organization and receive logistical support and benefits, and self-initiated expert traits who arrange international work opportunities on their own. So these are the expert traits role that can also be described by three factors. So they have their physical mobility. It's like how much travel or relocation is required. Then two is cognitive flexibility. It is how adaptable they are in managing diverse cultural situations. And number three, non-work disruptions, like the the extent to which their personal lives are affected. Let's move on to the next slide, and it the challenges and adjustments of expatriation. So most likely there will be always challenges and also the adjustments, but it is how you prepare or face these unique challenges. So especially when adjusting to intercultural environments, their work often involves adapting to new cultural norms and dealing with tasks that are more complex than those in their home country. Outside of work, expatriates are experienced major in challenge in their personal lives. So they have to establish new routines, build social networks, and sometimes manage the impact of relocation on their families. So it's more like uh, it's like of OFWs or other migrants or other people that work on abroad or something will also experience this kind of challenges. So moreover, expatriations involve multiple transitions. First, they need to adjust to foreign environment, and later they must readjust to their home environment when the assignment is over, which often has changed during their absence. So now, let's talk about why effective expatriate management matters. For some organizations, expatriates are key to entering foreign markets, managing global operations, and developing a strong talent pool for leadership goals. Like for individuals, expatriate assignments provide valuable opportunities for career growth, cultural exposure, and skill development. However, for both the organization and the individual to benefit, proper support is essential. This includes careful staffing to match the right person to the right assignment, training and preparation to help expatriates understand cultural differences and job expectations. And we also have providing organizational and social support to help expatriates and their families settle in the new environment. So, emerging areas in expatriate management include addressing work family balance and creating development assignments that prepare employees for leadership roles. Remember how crucial it is to ensure proper support at every step. Thank you.